There were more than 500 attorneys and reviewers who assisted with the. They asked a question and they don't want an answer.
That answers my question, ma'am, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on.
This is ridiculous.
The time belongs to the.
In a tense House Judiciary Committee hearing, Representative Hank Johnson questioned Attorney General Pam Bondi about allegations that 1,000 DOJ personnel were assigned to scrub Donald Trump's name from Epstein files and the department's failure to properly redact victim identities. With Epstein survivors present, Johnson demanded Bondi apologize for outing them through departmental negligence or willful misconduct.
General Bondi, it's been reported that there were at one point 1,000 personnel assigned to the task of identifying and scrubbing Donald Trump's name from the Epstein files. Were those reports accurate?
I believe his name has appeared countless times in the documents
how
that
many
have
people were
been released.
assigned?
If I could finish, I'm going to read you the stats.
I just simply asked whether or not it was true that it was 1,000 folks who were assigned that task. Were those reports accurate?
There are more than 500 attorneys and reviewers. I cannot give you an exact number.
And I wanted to ask you about that also, because this is a different question that you're getting to now. There were 500 DOJ lawyers and others assigned the task of redacting the appropriate information, including identities of the Epstein victim survivors from the Epstein files prior to their release. 500, is that correct?
If I could have finished my answer, there were more than 500 attorneys and reviewers who assisted with the. They asked a question and they don't want an answer.
That answers my question, ma'am, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on.
From multiple
Bondi, would you
agree? In order.
The
time belongs to the gentleman from Georgia.
General Bondi, would you agree that your 8 years of service as the state of Florida's Attorney General, the third largest state in the nation, served as an excellent preparation for your current role as Attorney General for the United States of America?
Not only that, I was a career prosecutor for
18 years. And for
18 years.
And for 18 years,
he
you
asked a question and doesn't want an
prosecuted.
answer. This is theatrics.
Well, no, for 18 years, you prosecuted serious felony cases, including drug cases, correct?
Oh, I prosecuted homicides. I prosecuted capital cases. I prosecuted domestic violence cases. I prosecuted multiple cases, and that's why I feel for all of these victims. And did you ask Merrick Garland this when you were sitting before him, sir?
You also prosecuted sexual assault cases and child sex trafficking cases, correct?
I answered that question earlier. I prosecuted multiple cases when I was a prosecutor.
Bottom line, you're an experienced and seasoned.
For 18 years.
Mr. Chairman, will you remind her of the rules? The time belongs to the member of the committee.
You are a seasoned and experienced prosecutor, correct?
I think we've established that.
Yes or no?
Does he want an answer or not?
I think he wants to say
I want a yes or no answer.
I think he wants to say
I want a yes or no answer, but I'll live with what you have already said. Let me ask you this question.
Clearly,
in the prosecution of sexual assault cases, you are acutely aware of how important it is to protect the identity of victims of sexual assault, correct?
I have addressed this multiple times. I think others were cutting me off when I was trying to.
Well, I just simply asked, are you aware of the fact that it's vitally important to protect the identity of sexual assault victims as you prosecute the people they accuse of assaulting them? Isn't that correct?
Excuse me. As we have said multiple times,
protection of the identity
of all victims
of the victims
are
is
protected.
So very
who are
important.
protected under? Do you want me to answer or do you want to interrupt?
Well, because you're not answering the question. You do a Jekyll and Hyde kind of routine around here, and I just want you to answer my questions.
What does Jekyll and Hyde mean? Can you
Well, it
explain
means
that?
you're nice to the
Explain
Republicans and you turn like Hyde on Democrats. But let me ask you this, ma'am. We have the Epstein victim survivors here today. Representative Jayapal asked a simple question. If you would be so kind and honorable as to turn around and face them and apologize to them for outing them. I mean, how many lives have been derailed because your department was either sloppy and incompetent or willfully trying to intimidate and punish these ladies for
time is
coming
up.
forward?
The hearing began with explosive allegations that approximately 1,000 DOJ personnel were assigned to identify and remove references to Donald Trump from the Epstein files before their public release. While Bondi could not confirm the exact number, she acknowledged that over 500 attorneys and reviewers were involved in the redaction process. This massive deployment of resources raises profound questions about the department's priorities. Were these hundreds of legal professionals primarily protecting the identities of vulnerable survivors, or were they engaged in a political scrubbing operation to shield powerful figures from public scrutiny? Johnson's questioning methodology, deliberately simple yes or no questions designed to establish basic facts, was repeatedly frustrated by Bondi's refusal to provide direct answers. Her pattern of deflection, attempting to expand responses beyond the scope of questions, and her complaints about being cut off revealed a witness uncomfortable with transparency. When asked straightforward questions about her prosecutorial experience and the importance of protecting sexual assault victims' identities, Bondi consistently pivoted to generalities rather than addressing the specific failures that brought Epstein survivors to the hearing room that day. The congressman's characterization of Bondi's behavior as a Jekyll and Hyde routine, pleasant and cooperative with Republican questioners while combative with Democrats, captured the partisan nature of her testimony. This inconsistency in demeanor suggested that Bondi's approach to the hearing was fundamentally political rather than oriented toward accountability and truth-telling. Her confused response to the phrase, asking, "What does Jekyll and Hyde mean?" when the reference was clearly to Jekyll and Hyde, further undermined her credibility in a moment requiring utmost seriousness. Most damning was Johnson's central accusation that the Department of Justice, through either sloppy and incompetent work or willful misconduct, had outed Epstein survivors by failing to properly redact their identities from released documents. The presence of these survivors in the hearing room transformed this from an abstract debate about bureaucratic procedures into a confrontation with real human suffering. These women, who had already endured unspeakable trauma, were re-victimized by the very government agency that should have protected them. Their identities, which should have been guarded with the utmost care, were exposed to public view, subjecting them to potential harassment, intimidation, and further psychological harm. Johnson's demand that Bondi turn around and face these survivors and apologize to them represented a powerful moment of moral clarity. It was a simple request for basic human decency and accountability, an acknowledgement that the department had failed in its fundamental duty to protect victims. Bondi's refusal to do so, her inability to offer even a simple apology, spoke volumes about the administration's priorities and its willingness to sacrifice vulnerable individuals for political convenience. The allocation of over 500 legal professionals to this redaction task, with such catastrophic results for victim privacy, raises questions that extend far beyond this single hearing. If protecting survivor identities was truly the priority, how could such a massive team have failed so completely? Were these attorneys inadequately trained? Were they working under impossible time constraints? Or were they primarily focused on other aspects of the redaction, perhaps the removal of names of powerful individuals, while treating victim protection as secondary? This exchange crystallized a broader crisis of accountability in federal law enforcement. When the Department of Justice fails to protect those it is sworn to serve, when an attorney general cannot bring herself to apologize to victims harmed by her department's actions, and when hundreds of government attorneys can be mobilized for a task yet produce results that re-traumatize survivors, the public's faith in the justice system itself is undermined. Johnson's final question, how many lives have been derailed, remains unanswered, but the presence of those survivors in the hearing room provided the answer that Bondi would not speak. Too many, and each one representing an inexcusable failure of the institution charged with protecting them.